Hey everybody, what's going on? Your host LovelyCheesePizza here. I have a lovely piping hot bag of McDonald's sitting right next to me that I totally don't need, but I decided to get anyways. So I'm going to eat that as soon as I'm done filming this little bad boy, and welcome back to Let's Play some more Gran Turismo 3, the Ultimate Driving Simulator. Had to get that number 4, make it a large with a Dr. Pepper, and also get on top of it a plain cheeseburger. Just because, you know, I don't know. It's weird. I always get the double quarter pounder just as is, but then I always get and that has like pickles and all the stuff on it. But then I'll always get a plain cheeseburger. I don't know why. I think it's just because, like, I don't know. I don't have an answer that will make any sense. So we're just gonna go with that. It is what it is. Alright guys, so in the last episode we were able to get to 26.5%, looking pretty good there. However, 83% win ratio, not really where I want to be, so I'm hoping to get a good 5 wins in a row tonight. And we were able to finish up the Legend of the Silver Arrow, and our prize for doing so is just this wonderfully gorgeous CLK touring car. Legend of the Silver Arrow, but it totally has gold side mirrors for some reason. I don't know why the hell that is, but I cannot wait to use this. However, that night will not be tonight. What we're going to be doing tonight, my friends, we're going to finally go back and deal... Well, we can't deal with it yet. We're going to deal with that nasty blemish that's still hanging out, you know, with its balls out in the Beginner Cup, and we're going to do the Beetle Cup now. We're going to get that RSI that, for whatever reason... I cannot stress this enough. I do not understand why this thing is $70,000. It just makes no fucking sense. Like, what is going on with this car that makes it so much more expensive than the other one? This thing is only 15 grand. I get that it's more powerful. I understand that. But unless that engine is made out of pure fucking platinum or diamond, it makes no sense. Like, is like the steering wheel completely like Swarovski crystal, you know, encrusted or something? I'd understand that. That would totally make plenty of sense as to why it's as expensive as it is. But other than that, I got nothing, man. I totally got nothing to go along with that. But what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we do this right. I do not want to lose any of these races. And I might be overdoing it a little bit. But you know what? We're going to go stage 2. That's going to be just fine in my book. We're also going to definitely get some sport tires on it just because, you know, I'd rather have a car I can actually handle sufficiently rather than, you know, dealing what we had to deal with. You know, in the Silver Arrow Cup in the last episode, we were swerving around everywhere. I mean, we lost a couple of races just because of that. We'll also get the racing chip. Well, 353 seems all right. Do I want to spend the extra 55 hundo polishing thine ports? Fuck it. You know, when you really have to question it that hard, that's when you throw your hands up in the air, unzip your pants, and flap your dong in the breeze and just say, fuck it. So, I think we're good. We should not lose this thing now. If we do, I would be crushed. Otero, I'm crushed! Yeah, we got everything else is good. We just need to do this one final thing. And I believe we also get a prize car for finishing all the races in the Beginner League with gold. So this is good. This is very good. Gonna be racing against a whole bunch of Volkswagen Cup cars, or Beetle Cup cars. Just a standard Volkswagen. We're not gonna specify any sort of model. It's just gonna be just random ass Cup cars. So, I really hope that we're geared up enough for this. Like, I know I was like, oh, we might be overdoing it a little bit. I hope that I hope we did overdo it personally. Looking good so far. Jesus, we have a really hefty acceleration advantage there. Good God. I did not expect that. If it stays like this, I'm feeling pretty good about life. I mean, I'll take it, man. Yeah, this is looking good. This is looking good. I mean, when when I kind of fiddle farted around with this when we were just rolling with the new Beetle, I mean, we weren't getting any type of response like this. I mean, we were basically getting run out of the gym basically right away. So this is good. This strikes me with high amounts of glee, no longer being shown on Fox networks. 2568 after like our first checkpoint. I think we're gonna absolutely clean house with this, and this is very, very good. I don't know why. So when I was driving home. I was out at the bar with Matt and Lige and a couple other friends of mine, and we were playing darts. So this is something that we did. We were doing it like every Monday for about a year. I think we did it for, well, maybe not a full year. It was probably about like 8 months or so though. Every Monday we would go out to a bar called the Can, which is now a marijuana dispensary, and we'd totally play darts. And I was terrible at it. I was absolutely awful. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Like, we'd have some intense matches because all of us were bad. I mean, there's definitely no denying in the fact that we were terrible. We'd have matches that would go on for like 35 minutes because we get down to the last area, and I mean, you have to end on a double, I'm pretty sure, and none of us could ever hit it. But it was fun though. It was still very excitable. And so we were like, oh let's go down and play some darts tonight. And so we went down to this place called Freeloaders, and they have the fucking setup for darts, man. They've got like an actual like darts pit. It's just like this little, almost like a little annex room off the side of the rest of the bar. It's almost kind of like a little secluded area in there, and it's just got like 5 different dart stations. Like most bars have one if you're lucky that they even have it at all. And so we were just like hanging out, just throwing darts the whole time, and we had one game. Mind you, this was just a 301 game. This wasn't even like standard 501 scoring. It took us approximately 35 minutes to finish the game. And like, I've watched professional darts on TV. Like, those guys can go through a full game in like 5 minutes or less half the time, because these dudes are fucking knocking out 180s on almost every turn, and so like they're knocking games out in just a couple of minutes. It took us 35 minutes to finish the game, of which about 30 of it was all focused on trying to end the game. We had to finish on a double 1, which is up on kind of like the top right corner, and it was just it was fucking mayhem, man. Like, none of us could hit the broadside of a barn if we were standing 3.5 feet away from it, which was essentially what we were doing. It was awful. But we finally won. We finally won, which earned us a round of beers, and then we ended up losing 3 in a row. So, of which we had to pay for a round of beers. It made it I say. But anywho, so that was totally off the rails there, but. So I was on the way home from the bar, and I was like, well, it's about 12:30. I really hope that I'll have enough energy to record this episode tonight, because I really wanted to do it earlier, but, time constraints got in the way, and I wasn't able to do it. But I was like, man, I'm really kind of excited to play tonight so I can get that fucking Beetle Cup challenge out of the way. That stuff's been, like, it's been bothering me for a long time that I wasn't able to finish that off the way that I really had wanted to in the beginning. And I don't know why, but like I'm sitting there like kind of planning this out in my head a little bit on how I'm gonna go about doing everything. And for some reason I'm like sitting here having like a weird inner conversation with myself, and I'm like, you know what? Volkswagen Beetles are fucking weird cars. They're very, very strange looking cars. And I was like, if a Volkswagen Beetle ever had a theme song, what do you think it would be? I was like, I'm like legitimately asking this like out loud in the car. I'm sitting here like, if this thing had a theme song, what the hell do you think it would be? Like, if there was like, obviously they had commercials for the cars, but like, if it had like a late 80s, early 90s, like children's video game and or like board game type of commercial, like what the hell would that be like for a car like this? Holy shit. Come on. Get out of the sand. We're not going to the fucking beach today. Let's go. Even though I'd totally love to go to the beach today. Or in the morning, but that's not going to be a possibility. I was like, if it had a commercial like that, what would it sound like? It's like I can envision it right now to, minus the lyrics to a full extent. It's like, I can totally imagine what it'd be like. You'd have, like, the super overly energetic guy that sounds like he's, you know, had about 13 shots of espresso and he's one more away from going into cardiac arrest and losing his godforsaken mind. And then you have like the car kind of racing around a racetrack or being out in the, out in the fucking Tules or whatever, or driving around the side of a mountain, because we see plenty of those. And I don't know, like, in my head for some reason the only thing I could think of that immediately came out was like, Volkswagen, new Beetle, jumping in the Beetle, ready to drive, take it for a spin, flying sky high. Even though they can't fly, I don't know why that's even part of it, but it just had like that, and it had like this weird kind of like awkward as hell guitar riff going on with it, and it has like this guy that has he's got like these really weird ass like Neo from the Matrix sunglasses on with like just a standard blue Big Dogs t-shirt. I don't know why. It just I don't know. I had like this whole scenario built out in my head, and like in this commercial that I'm creating for myself, he like took this guy, this mystery man that's driving the car, like while the commercial's going on, while this fucking janky ass tune is going on, he rolls down the window and does Hang Loose out of the side window, and is like fist pumping out of the sunroof that I don't even think that this car even has. But I don't know. That's just like this whole scenario I created, and I was like, this thing, I don't know. I could see that. I could totally see that. If this was a commercial that existed in the late '80s, I wouldn't be inclined to buy this car whatsoever because of that. But I definitely, if I would have been the age of 29 at that time with that commercial coming out, I would have probably gotten a good chuckle out of it, because I would have been like, this is fucking terrible. This is absolutely awful. But maybe it was awful in a good way. It was like, it'd be one of those like so bad that it's good type of scenarios, and not just so bad that it's bad that I can't stand it, but now it's engraved in my skull, like the Puppy Monkey Baby bullshit from the Super Bowl a couple years ago. That one was just bad for all the wrong reasons, because I can't think of any right reasons you could ever have for that, other than the fact that it was successful enough that people are still talking about it, 2.5 years later. Which is, I mean, most commercials that come out, you never remember them after, like a couple of weeks, let alone a couple of years. So, people may have thought that commercial was absolute, an absolute flaming pile of blistering asshole, but it was successful enough that they remember that it was a commercial, even if they don't remember what it was a commercial for, which I'm pretty sure it was a commercial for Mountain Dew, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure I think it was for Mountain Dew Kickstart, which is just weird. It's really weird. Alright, well look at this. This is good. This is very, very good. So glad I got that Stage 2 turbo kit instead of just getting the 1, because I had definitely fully contemplated just getting the 1 and seeing what would happen, but I just, like, knowing that my win percentage was lower than what I want it to be, I was like, you know what? We have to do it this way. I have to take the high ground just to have, security about the whole thing. I don't want to have to put up with not having that and having it dip down lower, because I want that 85% by the completion of this series. And this is definitely an opportunity for me to get what I want out of this, because once we get into once we get full bore into the amateur stuff, there's gonna be moments where things are gonna get, they're gonna get hard. We've already had our little taste of that with the Silver Arrow Cup. Even though most of that was self-inflicted, like, in the races that I won, I definitely did much, much better, that, to a point where I know that I could have easily won those if I could have, managed my handling a little bit better in that. It's just, for me, I get really antsy in certain races, especially with Trial Mountain. Trial Mountain has always been a race that I get antsy in. Mainly because in Gran Turismo 2, when I used to play that race, like, I would dominate it literally just about every time. And so you kind of get cocky rolling into that. You think that, you know, you think that you're going to be able to go in there and, you know, whatever car you're driving, just be like, dude, it's Trial Mountain. Like, I got this thing down. Like, I can kind of fuck around a little bit and get away with it. And then it gets down to it. And this game, I would say, all in all, is probably a little more difficult than GT2 that I have come across so far. Don't get me wrong. When I did my GT2 series, I laid some high class, like, you know, 6 hour alcohol binge diarrhea fucking stinkers, man. I let out some flaming hot Cheeto turds during that series where I had a couple of like last position finishes, I believe. I think I had some real blemishes on that resume. Which I think I had a couple in here too already. I think I had at least one 5th place finish, did I not? So, you know, that's definitely not something that's going to ever stand not in this household, it isn't. So, but I think that I would have to wager that overall, this game is probably a bit harder. Just because I think that the physics are a little different with this one than they were in GT2. I think there was a little more forgiveness for certain things in GT2 than there is here. But I don't know. I feel like I feel like about 50 episodes in, I'm finally starting to get a little more comfortable with the way that these cars handle. Like, I feel, for the most part, I'm doing pretty solid, you know? Still having some issues with, you know, the certain speed that you have to have going into certain corners of certain tracks, but I think, you know, when with all things considered, I think I'm doing rather well here. This turn right here has been one that's given me plenty of problems. I just don't quite know from car to car, you know, how you're supposed to address it. Especially with this car. This car seems rather strange. Like, as far as handling goes, it's pretty good, actually. I will give it that. With it seems like everything's pretty good overall, but its braking is pretty terrible. I will say that right away. I'm not gonna shy away from the details on that. The braking on this vehicle is just about as bad as Satan getting an abortion, which I don't even want to know what the visual of that would be. That would be, he would. I mean, first of all, Satan's not even capable of becoming pregnant. So, I mean, pretty much no to whatever I was about to say with that, anyways. But if he was, like, you know, able to become both genders, you know, and do whatever he was going to do with that, I feel like if he decided, fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore, he would be the type that would just reach all the way up in there and just... This is not a conversation that should be happening. This is absolutely terrible. But to finish it off, he would totally reach in and pull it out himself and then, like, consume it. He would consume that whole deal for sustenance just because he's Satan and he's, you know, the worst being there is. Yikes to that whole idea. That was just a bad conversation to start. Well, with that said, my friends, we're gonna stop right here because I don't want this bag of McDonald's to start getting cold. There is nothing worse than cold McDonald's fries, because you can't reheat those. Oh no, you can't. You can't reheat those. I don't want to have my burger start getting to that weird like intermediate stage where it's not cold, but it's not warm enough for it to be like acceptable to eat it, and then you have to go heat it up, and then like the bun starts to get a little soggy and then it doesn't taste quite right anymore. So I'm gonna knock this bad boy out right now. But until then, my friends, when we come back, we're gonna knock out the rest of the new Beetle cup here. I don't know why it's the new one. I don't know what happened to the old one, but we're gonna knock that out. We're gonna get our prize. The beginner league will be completed, and then we can fully commit to doing the amateur league. Whether or not we'll engage in an endurance race before we start doing the rest of that, I don't know. Probably though. So we'll figure that out next time. But until then, my friends, this is your host, Lovely Cheese Pizza, saying thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye. Volkswagen, new Beetle.